Okay, so I will start with my screen sharing of my presentation of today. Okay, so thank you for attending today's webinar. So today's webinar topic is Metaverse and Sustainability Convergence. So this is, I talk with Elisa, and then this topic appears to be interesting in some of the minority experts now, but it'll be the popular, maybe the mainstream in the future. So we are starting this one. This is a series of webinars I started with this topic, but this with particularly we have a distinguished the keynote speaker, Alyssa, is expertise in this field. So it is grateful to have this kind of the webinar today. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so I will let you know the schedule. So basically, I'm Alex Lee. I recently I published a lot of the paper about this topic. So there are many experts, but you know that if you look at my LinkedIn profile, that I'm working on these three aspects: metaverse, ESG, and digital transformation. I'm trying to combine within my expertise and knowledge. And then I started to publish of my idea, and my idea is that the series of the article about this topic, and then later they combine, integrate the old article as a book to let other people know about this is fascinating topics and the fascinating area you can do research or you practice or whatever. So as I told you, that we have a keynote speaker, Alyssa Giudici, and then she is the founder and the CEO of the Impact Investing in Tech, is a huge community of the impact investors and then related innovators. So she has a lot of experience in this field. So she will share her experience, knowledge, and expertise for that. And particularly, he has he can't cover every aspect, but particularly I'm interested in the impact investing aspect of the metaverse investment. And then she will also introduce herself for detail. Okay, so today's agenda that I'm going to talk about the set the stage, like what is the metaverse revolution, and the ESG sustainability imperative. So two aspects is I'm going to set the a stage before at least provide her insight about the impact investing in metaverse. So she will talk about the toolbox for impact investing in metaverse. And then after her talk, I'm going to deliver something that what is the impact of the sustainability. So there are two aspects: is a positive impact and some negative impact. So this is very important topic that actually I talked with Elisa before starting the webinar. Actually, I got a call from the research team of Meta yesterday, and then they are interested in some aspect of this, and then they're starting the research of this area, and then they allocate some fund. So I will introduce what they're doing and what that means to this kind of the combination of the metaverse and sustainability ESG. Okay, so I will go over briefly because I'm going to share the presentation and recording, so you don't need to look at the detail about it, but you can just look at what I following the essential. So don't see detail. I'm just to say that a lot the media now talk about, you know that, because there are a lot of the Google Analytics, you can think about what the people's under interest, and then in the Google Analytics, and then this kind of metaverse topic is little bit interesting in the starting in 2 years ago, and then last year Meta announced that the Facebook changes their name is as Meta, and after that all the media talk about this metaverse. So this is just to show that. And I summarize, I try to summarize every aspect of the metaverse in one page. So don't think about too much, because you can think about it here. If you look at detail, it can be 100-page paper about this. So I just summarize one page. But the one thing that have in mind that is metaverse is a physical and virtual converged world, and then how they integrate, converge, it depending on that the purely virtual or the augmented virtual or augmented reality. So like a virtual space and real world converge either way, but the other part join in the other part, right? And the way maybe a very good understanding is like augmented reality, we already have it in experience. And then recently there are a lot of the avatar representing the digital representation join in the virtual space, and also like a land in the real estate will link with your virtual land. So all the real space, real world, real space object and time, everything will be joining in the virtual space in augmented way. So we call augmented virtuality is compared to augmented reality. And also we know about there's a mirrored world, the pairing of the two worlds. So we usually call digital twins. So two physical entity and then a virtual entity are connected and synchronized through the real-time data. So we call called the digital twin. And another combination, like for mixed reality. So how they actually combine. So in the fundamentally, I'm not sure whether we have happened, but we have seen in many movies, like the Matrix and Ready Player One, what happened? The real space and virtual space be combined together completely. And then we cannot recognize whether it's real or virtual, and you have seen in the movie. But that's a future vision, but we are slowly moving into that direction. For that, actually, we need for example, application is required because of they provide experience. Experience is very important, and the people get acquainted with this kind of metaverse experience, they will be more familiar with, and they start to adopt this as a part of their life. And then also the technology, there are a bunch of technology relay technology, sensing technology, AI, and IoT, spatial computing, and then 5G, 6G, blockchain, Web3, and a building 3D modeling. All technology should be also innovating further. So just one aspect I explain you. And this is one I just show you that there are a bunch of for example, the initiate talk about the applications. So in all the industry, they have a metaverse application. So I just summarize in here just a few, because I can count hundreds of out there. They announced that they have some type of the metaverse application. Well known is a fashion like Nike, or the entertainment, Disney World, or the retail store like Walmart, and the automotive and the travel, education, all aspects, we have a popularity of this application. And then also some way to new mechanism in the metaverse is a commerce. So we can actually generate the value, and then we can transact. So about a real estate sale, like a virtual land sale or the NFT related. So this is another topic that actually the people are very interesting in this field. And then this is one actually that just summarize as a reference about whatever the future commerce will be like a combination of is a real life commerce and virtual life commerce. And then all are like I mentioned about a virtuality, augmented reality, NFT or DeFi, whatever, and they will be combined in the future. And I don't care about it because I just try to explain about some architecture that, because people talk about for example, Mark Zuckerberg said metaverse be the future internet, and a lot of people say the future internet, but they provide not clear feature of what is a future internet. And the future internet is kind of like immersive internet. You will, for example, very simple analogy is that what you use the internet today is using your website, right? It's 2D website. and then clicking your website, and then you have a web page. And then there is a bunch of the site or the object, or whatever, in the 2D or whatever, video or whatever, and then you can explore by clicking, right? This is like a traditional like internet now. And in the metaverse, the why they call the next internet, because in that case, we will join in an internet, right? Because a website, and the website is 3D, and is mimic our world. So it's like real life. You will explore your website, 3D website in the metaverse, and then you will clicking means that you will interact with the 3D object or the environment or other people inside of that. And then you can move over other like a website, other like a metaverse world. So this is the one thing that why they call next internet, because the way actually that we use, and then the way actually that we apply is completely different from the current state of the like a web or the 2D internet. Okay, so I'm going to talk about briefly about just in this case actually the just to get the point one is that this is worldwide effort. For example, the climate risk, right? Because it's a warming of the like atmosphere because the carbon generation, and then we will have a drastic like weather change and disaster, and then scientists warn about it, and then you know that like in the UN and the global community working together how to resolve it, like how to decarbonize, and then how, and also like we worry about our environment, like a circular zero, like for example like a circular economy. So you want to recycle everyone and then reduce your waste or something like that. And then there are a lot of the activities we call like a sustainability, environmental sustainability, or we can call ESG, the recent term, like environmental, social, and governance type of the sustainability. And then there are huge amount of like investment fund is allocated of this space. So what we are interesting is like what is mean by the ESG factors. So here is some. So it's the environmental, you know, the carbon emission is a problem. So we want to reduce our like generation carbon and order reduce energy use. And then like, for example, we want to reserve our resources, waters and the forest and something like that. And also socially, what we are interesting is a social like a justice. We call it social equity. So it means that the justice and fairness, and then like inclusion, like diversity, and then also like for example providing for your like employees about the safety in your like workspace, and then was health, well-being, and then justice means that like no like exploiting of the labor in the like a cheap labor in some other third party or something like that. Also privacy and data security of the important data is very important. And then governance is transparency of how you manage your company. So this is a topic actually that you should have in mind that. And then this is one actually I provide all the knowledge map that I provided, so you can look at the detail about what the detail about the each ESG topics looks like. Okay, so I spent some time. Okay, so finally that we will have Elisa, our distinguished keynote speaker. She will talk about what is meant by the impact investing and how they are investing in the ESG. Okay, so Elisa.
Yes. Hi, hello everybody. Hi. So I'm gonna share my screen as well.
Oh, I will stop my sharing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yes. There we go. Okay, so today, well, first of all, thank you, Alex, for inviting me today to speak about this amazing topic. Is something that I really believe in. I really believe in new technologies, and I really believe in impact investing. So for me, these are really two examples of two great industry that can really make something good and make a huge changes from now on to reach the goal, the sustainability goals. So let's start with a little bit more about me, who I am, what I do. Just a few words, no worries. Well, first of all, where did I start? This is not a mistake. This is the shop of my parents that they used to have. So this is basically where I was raised and kind of born. And this is where I learned, first of all, about entrepreneurship, how to be an entrepreneur, how to, do something different, and also how to help people through a business. I remember when I start to help them, I was a kid, I was 11 years old, I was always around, and I start to see, in this case, it was a creativity shop, and I really saw how people came in this shop, they done some workshop, and they become happy, and they start to tell like my parents, I'm not taking the depression tablets anymore, I'm much happier than before, and all this stuff. And I start to have these kind of feelings, okay, you can do business, you can earn money, but you can also do something good for the community and something good for the people you have around. And at the same time, I start to be passionate about technology. It was the 90s, it was a crazy time, it was the beginning of internet. And well, I said to my parents, okay, I'm gonna build for you a website. I'm gonna build for you an e-commerce website. And they were like, what are you doing? I don't know anything about that, but they trust me. And so I built this first e-commerce, I built a second one, I sold them both, and the rest is history. But this experience was, again, really important to me, because I start to see how technology changed in the years, how technology can change life, and that was basically my beginning. Together of this entrepreneurial and more technology lover side of me, there were always also a part of me that really wanted to give something to the community. So for like more than 10 years, I was volunteering in the Red Cross. So I was working during the day as an entrepreneur, and during the night, I was volunteering in the emergency ambulance. So, when you call the 991 and, because people get hurt and this stuff, I was the one in the ambulance that came to the houses and helped people. And it was, again, a huge impact for me to see how you can help people through volunteering as well. And that, again, was another milestone for me, because at a certain point, I decided that I need to put everything together, all the dots together, like Steve Jobs would say. And I realized that charity for me was not enough. And that's where I start to think about impact investing and what is impact investing. Again, charity is amazing. You can really do a lot of nice things, but it's limited. There are a limited amount of money that you can give a charity. There are a limited amount of money that any investors give to charity. If we have a portfolio as an investors, you probably, if you are a good person, you probably give a certain amount of money to charity, but then you don't get any return, of course, for this money that you have gave up. And that's one of the huge problems, because if you want to multiply and accelerate the impact that you made in the world, unfortunately, you really need money, and you need a lot of money, not just a few dollars. You need a huge, huge amount of money. So that's why, for me, impact investing is the key. With impact investing, you can invest a certain amount of money. You can get the return of your investment, and then you can invest again and again and again and multiply what is your investment, but also the good you are making in the world. And for me, again, this is the key of everything. And again, looking back on my background, I thought, okay, what is the other key for acceleration in the world? And the other key is technology. Technology accelerates everything, accelerate the good and accelerate the bad. So as investors, what you decided to invest in, it's the key that changed everything. You can decide to invest some money in a new technology to make good, or to make bad, or just to make money, which again, it's fine, it's up to you, but it's a huge responsibility that each investor need to think about. Your money make the difference. And when you invest in technology, your money make a huge difference in the results. So what about Metaverse? Well, Metaverse, I would say it's quite controversial, and it's really interesting because, first of all, nobody agree about anything when we talk about Metaverse, not even about the definition of Metaverse. Somebody thinks that it's just augmented reality, and they are very close to these things. I know everything else, it's not meta. Some other things, no, it's virtual reality, or it's a mixed reality. And Alex just explained a few minutes ago that we have all this kind of different type of reality that you can enclose in Metaverse or not. It depends on what you believe, the definition that you have in mind. Well, a lot of time it depends on who you are talking with, which is kind of crazy if you think about. But again, it's a new technology, and this is the reality. Nobody agree about the market evaluation neither. If you look at the data, you just write online what is the valuation of the Metaverse market, and every source will give you a different amount of money. It's crazy. You can't really understand which is true, which is false. They all have their own reasons. And then again, nobody agree about that. Is Metaverse Web 2 or is Metaverse Web 3? Again, it depends. Which is your definition of Web 2 and Web 3? And which is your definition of Metaverse? Because if you think about Web 3 as centralized versus decentralized world of internet, then Metaverse can be both. Some project will be Web 2, some project will be Web 3, some project will be both, you don't know. So again, nobody agree about the definition, nobody agree about any of the details of Metaverse. And again, Metaverse is good or Metaverse is bad. When we talk about impact investing, especially with the impact we are going to make, is good or is bad. Some people claim that will be kill the environment because the energy consumption. Some other people say, oh no, absolutely. You are not gonna need to travel anywhere because, you know, you use Metaverse. So it's pretty good for the environment. You are gonna use a lot less energy than before. And what about the social? This is probably the most controversial and scary things about Metaverse. It is good or it is bad. Some people say, oh, it's very good. You know, sometimes people are very isolated in their world, and through Metaverse, they can socialize, they can be part of the whole world instead of being closed in themselves. And some others say, oh no, this will be the end of the social life because everybody will be in the metaverse and there will be no human contact anymore. And then again, controversial, and nobody is agree with anything. But there is something that everybody is agree on, is that metaverse will be huge. And if you look at the numbers, so for example, about the concert that Fortnite created just a few years ago, they got over 27 million unique players in Fortnite to look at a concert. A real life concert, well, kind of real life concert, of course. And it was amazing. And not just that, basically over 45 million people watch this concert. It means a lot of them watch this concert twice. So it was so amazing that they want to see it again and again and again. And this means something. I mean, it's not just a couple of nerds that like metaverse because it's cool, or, you know, you have seen that in the sci-fi films. Oh yes, maybe this will become a reality in one day. This is already a reality. It's not a sci-fi. So what about impact investing and why we need to think about metaverse and understand metaverse? So I drew up just a few rules that can help you to understand a bit better the metaverse and the impact investing environment. So the first rule, and that's not just about impact investing, this is a rules that when we talk about new technology, it's fundamentals always. So the first rule is, what are the backbones of this new technology? What are the things that I need to keep track to understand, first of all, how is the progress in this new technology? And second, if this is the backbone of this new technology, it's probably the best things to invest in, because then again, when the metaverse will be huge, everybody needs to use the backbone of a new technology. And I take this amazing chart. It's not mine, but it's done so well, so no need to read on it. The name is Matthew Ball. It's a VC investor. He's really studied metaverse for a very long time. And I really think that he summarized pretty well in just one chart what are the backbones of metaverse. First of all, you have the hardware. Of course, everything that is hardware related, it's really important to enter in the VR world. You need the headset, you maybe need gloves. There is a lot of companies that are working around how to produce all these hardware that you are gonna need to be into the metaverse. The networking. So networking, it's really about the infrastructure. If you think about, especially in the emergence market, most of the time, they do not really have a good connection, internet connection. And for the metaverse, this is the key. You have a huge amount of data that you need to, well, use every time you enter in a metaverse world, and everything needs to be smooth. Otherwise, the whole experience it's gonna be crap. Can I say that? It's not gonna be a nice experience for anybody if your screen start to block every 2 seconds and all this stuff. And of course, computing powers will be one of the huge key, and it's right now, it's also one of the huge problems because we haven't reached this point where you can have like a computing power powerful enough in your house to do everything you want with the metaverse. Virtual platforms. Of course, all the platforms that they are developing the 3D world and all the environment that will be part of the metaverse, they're another backbone of the metaverse as well. There are a lot of tools and standards, protocols. We are going here in a more technical word, if you like, but then again, all these things, they are going to be used to create the system that will be the backbone of the metaverse. The payment, of course, if we want to cash out everything that we do in the metaverse, we need a payment system. And that's also linked a lot with the blockchain world, with the crypto worlds, with the tokens, with the NFTs as well. It's again, these are two area, metaverse and blockchain. These are two technologies that are both growing right now. So we don't know now where we are going at the end, but we know that they are so important and will be huge in the next future, in the next very future. And the content, the services, the assets, the possibility, for example, of buying a land in the metaverse. And that will become something crazy, like you are going to have maybe people that like a realtor in the metaverse or something like that. So new job work and roles will become relevant for the metaverse as well. Someone will be completely new. Someone will be just translate from the real words to the virtual words. Again, it's exciting, but there's a lot in this backbones area. And of course, another core is the user behavior. And if you look at this chart, the user behavior, it's not around in one block, but it's around everything, because again, this is the key, and this is another controversial piece of metaverse. If you ask to the researcher, some research, some data says people don't like to go online and be completely in the virtual world. Some other research says, oh no, they're gonna love it. They're gonna love it. So in a few years, we are gonna have most of the people that are gonna buy the gloves, are gonna buy, the glass and everything. So again, we don't know yet what will be the escalation and how much time it will take to go from where we are now to the point where metaverse is a reality in the virtual world. But we are gonna, the path is there, and user behavior, it's again something that you can keep track or try to keep track, because the changing of the user behavior is one of the key. When people start to use all the hardware, to use the infrastructure, you really start to see that metaverse is coming and is becoming real pretty quick. So this is a lot, I know, to take in, but I hope this is quite clear to have an overview of the area that you can invest in and the area that you need to track down if you want to, be the first and investing in the right projects. Rule number 2 is the final impact. So when I look to companies that claim to do impact, the first thing is to understand they are just doing this because it's trend. they are doing this because they want to, well, do a nice marketing campaign. It's just greenwash. Or they are doing that because they believe in what they're doing. They're doing that because it's in their business model or not. For me, I know it's a bit different from the definition of ESG, but for me, the key is that it's the project, the business, really making a final impact into the people's life or not. And the main difference, again, for my definition, is they have it in their business model or not. Otherwise, say, okay, you are doing something nice, for example, for your workers, which is good, but this is not enough. The third rule, let's go here, is about your value. So this is all the SDGs. The SDGs are the sustainable goals that are was drafted from the United Nations just a few years ago. There are 17 goals. Every goal is different. Some of them are about poverty. Some of them are about environment. Again, there is a huge difference between one and the others, and it's really about you. What's your belief? What's the main things for you? What's really important for you? I'll give you an example. For me personally, financial inclusion is the key for all of them, because again, if you think about people that do not have access to any money, they can't live their life, and they are scared to do not have a meal to reach the end of the day. How can I go there and say, okay, I know you can't, eat today, but climate is really important. So maybe why don't you stop, I don't know, like cut these trees because it's very bad for environment. I know it gives, something to eat for today, but it's not good. So for me, this is not working. If we want a revolution, a real revolution in terms of impact, we first of all need to give people the possibility of live an easier life, and then we can talk about climate. We can talk about all the other stuff, which again are all important, but at the same time, as I said at the beginning, you need to choose which is your value and which is your belief. And when you invest in something and you want to do an impact, of course, this business, this company must be aligned with your value, must be aligned with your belief, and must be aligned with, of course, the general ethics sense. So SDGs are a very good guideline to understand what are the main topics around impact investing, but then it's up to you. This is, again, a very general rules, but always important. Do your own research. This is really the basic rule for every investors, but I always put these slides in all my speech because it's the key. Every time you have a project, you need to research and you need to do your own research. You need to do your due diligence. You need to search the teams. Are they real people or are not? Maybe they just put a fake pictures in the deck, and you need to know. You need to do your own research before any investment you want to do. And the last rules, but again, really, really important, is that technology is not good nor bad. It's how we use it. And as I said at the beginning, today, it's a huge responsibility for investors to decide which is good, which is bad, and how to invest their money, because technology will accelerate. Every and each one investment that you are going to do. So I hope that I gave you enough information about Metaverse in the time that we have got today. This is my LinkedIn, my Twitter, and of course, you can join my newsletter and podcast where you can find a lot of information about impact investing in tech and a lot of interviews with amazing people like Alex. Again, thank you that you invite me today. And yeah.
Oh, thank you,
That's it
Lisa.
for today.
Yeah, it's great because you talk of every aspect of the metaverse, starting from like what is the metaverse, like and then also like a very important topic about the metaverse infrastructure and what covered by the metaverse platform application, and also like what is like investment is needed. Actually, yesterday what I did was like a sustainable finance. This was hosted some non-profit organization we call Ticket Talk in UK, and there was several like experts in the sustainable finance. Actually, one topic actually talk about exactly you mentioned actually the what we really measure to in the decision making is there is a different because what it measure is different from actually what it value, right? Because the ultimate goal is to value to the people, planet, society, right? But in reality, it was not there. So I talk about this a little bit about the difference between the traditional ESG investing and impact investing, because impact investing is a little bit more like way on the social and then planet value and society value. So a little bit like some flexible than the traditional ESG sustainability because they are still looking for some financial return in the over like social value. So maybe we can discuss further. Okay, so I will I will share my slide to finish up. Actually, my slide will be backup. What Elisa have to talk about. What a coincidence. Actually, we never seen each other's slide. Okay, so yeah, I will share my screen again. Okay, so I will start. Okay, so Elisa talked about what impact investing means. Impact on what, right? So here is the impact on sustainability. So value is to, but we can think of impact can have a two sides, positive or negative. So he talked about good or bad, right? Because so I'm going to like further explain about what is a positive impact of sustainability. Is okay. So this is one example that the metaverse renewable energy system management is recently there are, for example, also yesterday I participated in another webinar. Was a topic was the metaverse industry metaverse application. So for the using digital twin, so I mentioned about digital twin is a mirror board that they connected through the like real entity and physical entity in the real-time data. So a technical thing, but the one thing that they apply to is kind of like this kind of like, for example, renewable energy system. So they can manage your energy system, not just the energy system. They can manage a factory or your smart building or whatever your city. So metaverse provide like this kind of the virtual like environment. Actually, for example, you can control your renewable energy like wind like a turbine energy that through your metaverse. Like here is for example Microsoft mixed reality device, and again you can control through this mixed way to like real space and virtual space combined. And also you can like have a meeting virtually in a remote meeting. So this is a remote meeting one way actually to save your consumption of your energy, because you don't need to commute, and then you don't need to like store like in the stay in in a physical room. So this is another way, but the very in the deeper level they are contributing in the sustainable positive way, because they will control your energy system in a positive way. So this is one example. And the other is there was in the chat, and someone explained about she from the like fashion industry. this is one way. The fashion industry is one industry actually. The interest in the FRI metaverse, because a metaverse can provide some way to, for example, here is one way. It's like a digital twin connects 3D virtual world like a shop. For example, the fashion shop here is a fashion shop, or the cosmetics, or actually the retail store. You can have a virtual space, and then they are connected with your real space. So there is a lot of the advantages of using that. So for example, that the store manager can pre-test the product before actually producing. So you have fashion design, and then there was actually, that originates from the South Korea, and there was some recently there was some TV series about some fashion industry. And then I'm not a fashion industry well, but there was like when they did some design, and then they get the fabric, and then they test it like before actually mass produced. So they waste a lot of the fabric and water, and then because they don't know about which design will be adopted in the customers that the customer prefers. So they design a lot of the different type, and then maybe the out of 10, just one actually the popularity in actually the customers, and then actually they produce. So there are a lot of the waste in the fashion industry. So doing that in the pre-testing, and then virtually doing, so actually by doing that, actually you see that, for example, they also for example, inventory management in the for example, how many stock that there. So on-demand production is possible. So you can produce whatever demand on the market. So this also have to reduce the waste of your resources and waste of water, and then reduce of your energy electricity use, and then other energy use. So this is the one thing you can prepare. So by doing that, actually you also the virtual stores out there, and then they can have you to reduce the actual physical store operation. And also there are, for example, retailers, the most headache is return, right? Because whatever they return, and then usually they used to be for example, the luxury goods, they burn out, because they worry about the reduce of their a price or the value. Or sometimes the restocking is cost is higher than actually you just reproduce it. So there are a lot of the waste in the for example, in the return process. So it can be managed by this kind of the virtual stores. So they have a reduced low material, energy, water use, GHG emission, and less produce waste, increase reuse, recycle. So this is a lot of advantage, particularly in the retail, and then particularly the fashion industry. And also not only just in the consumer market, in the industry wise, I mentioned about in the manufacturing and the supply chain management. And then you can see that there is a virtual factory operated, and then they can exactly same thing. They can pre-test it before actually produce in. And then also they look at the customers visit their virtual showroom, whatever, and then they're looking at what with the popularity of their design or whatever, and then repractice your manufacturing. So this is another advantage. You can actually pre-test your market, and then again on-demand production. So you can reduce your same thing, raw material, energy, water use, and then reduce waste, and then also a supply chain was a lot of the consumption of the energy. And then you can reduce your carbon emissions through your supply chain management. And this is another one is in big scale, even in the smart city, in the city wise, is the buildings, and then transportation, and the other for example, this kind of infrastructure. So they can spend a lot of the energy waste or something like that, so they can manage in the smart cities. And then this is one actually that Lisa talked about. There is in the interface between blockchain and space, and also in the metaverse space. They call a metaverse funding. You can green fund is enabled. So for example, that you can like use this green fund to like it's similar to impact investing, right? They allocate their fund and then they invest to like, for example, transportation system, green buildings, renewable energy system, waste management system. And then one way actually that doing this financing is to using blockchain, we call like NFT. And also you can use like a financial system we call decentralized finance system based on blockchain. So this is one way actually you can do like a lot of the like supporting this sustainable like a metaverse build up using this fund. So it's a timely actually the next week. I'm going to host this fantastic webinar, and then we have 5 distinguished speakers for this. So this is a very popular topic because I invited this, and then I just caught up 5 now. So it's a very popular topic, and we're going to talk about all aspects of the how actually bring this kind of like Web3 and then metaverse combined with NFT, DeFi, and the CBDC is one type of the like a government like operated currencies. So this is one opportunity. If you look at my LinkedIn side, you have this information. So if you're interested, you can join in next week. Okay, so negative one. I talk about all things, the positive one, but actually the lot of concern is the negative impact, because the positive impact good, right? But bad is serious, right? So this is one actually the reason that concern about is the negative. For example, like interesting the metaverse with 1,000 fully increasing computing capacity, exactly at least I talk about, right? It's just supporting metaverse vision. Then computing capacity means that huge amount of the electricity you should use, right? To supporting, for example, the deep learning, AI, cloud computing. So it implies that we have a serious problem with the sustainability, right? Because of the carbon generation. So this is one thing. Also, like for example, like we will have a huge billion market next platform, means that there is a global infrastructure market will be huge potential to increase, and more increase. We should be worried about how actually like support the sustainability of these building blocks, right? So the Lisa already talked about like computing network, every like application. So we should think about this one. And then also like for example, metaverse, we need a lot of data center, right? Because that's one is a data center that spend a lot of the water, energy, something like that. And then so we also like considering like how the Web3 infrastructure problem. You may have heard about the Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin mining require huge amount of energy, right? So it generates carbon. So there was some episode actually the Tesla one time to buy a lot of the Bitcoin, and then they try to allow that they can the consumers actually buy the Tesla car using Bitcoin, and later they can serve because of this energy problem. So all this have in mind then. So this is one particularly that for example, in the WF, that is actually impact environment. So they concern about like, for example, here is one example that one AI model can generate 626,000 pounds of the carbon dioxide, right? So there's a huge amount of carbon. It will be generated by using just one AI model. So what happened in the metaverse is a mainstream, and then computing and the AI involved in huge electricity and carbon emission. So I support the digital sustainability. So digital technology can have to like preserve your like energy reservation or something like that. But like in a negative way, they also consume a lot of the energy and then generate carbon emission. That's one we should be concerned about it. And also like NFT, I mentioned that they are based on blockchain, and blockchain based on consensus system, some mining, and then they require a lot of the energy use. So this is one example. Like for example, the NFT is popular that we mentioned about, like a virtual land sale over the NFT or something like that. But you can see that huge amount of like electricity is recently produced by this kind of the NFT transaction. So for example, that here is like a huge amount of data. For example, here is electric energy used by the NFT, like a photo, like whole year is like a, think of 100, like a trillion watt. And then in the corresponding, the CO2 emission is 85, is a million ton. So just one transaction of the NFT spent like a 245 kilowatt. So you can think about if you buy some NFT art, then how it corresponds to the reduced, like generate a lot of carbon. So you should be think about this one. And then another aspect that is I talk about ESG as E is environment, and I talk about, and then the second factor is S, society. So the impact on the people and society, we should think about it. So that's why that, for example, Meta that I mentioned yesterday, this Meta research team contacted me about they asked me to join so for here is that Facebook invested 50 million for responsible metaverse development. Responsible means that many things, but they usually they care about the planet, people, and society. So responsible to the like you can imagine that because the Facebook like now changed Meta, they blame about that they're notorious about in the like impact, negative impact in the people and society or something like that. You may know about it. So somebody blamed that when they changed their name, it's just like a greenwashing. Like for example, they try to get out of this kind of like notorious reputation, then just change name, right? But actually, inside they know about it. They allocate some money to reduce the kind of like negative effect of that. So they are looking at like how you can make us in the care of the people and the society, like diversity, equality, inclusion. So that's one actually that I'm going to participate in this research. And also like there is a problem with, for example, like ethnical problem, because for example, the metaverse experience, not just metaverse, you can, but online games for the. So one aspect is escapacity, right? Because you want to be avoided from the real life, and then more immersive, actually the immersive in a negative ways, and you want to be alone, and then you want to be involved in the virtual space, avoided from the real life, right? So you should be thinking about that kind of the ethnic one. Also, like recently there was like a problem with the data, like a privacy problem. Also, like whether they can protect like a vulnerability, like a minority, like whether the minority will have a negative effect from this metaverse, or the other way, like for example, safety, like there is a crime. So you maybe there was some of the woman's avatar was sexually harassed. So this is all aspects we need to care about, and then we should be think about from the starting, because this is the early stage. So this is one actually that I want to raise something that we should be thinking about today. Okay, so I will stop my sharing. Okay, so we are almost at time. So we maybe we can maybe discuss maybe 10 minutes about the if you have any specific question or any comment, and then you can do that. Manuel, can you do that?
I think you are on mute, Manuel.
Oh, sorry.
Here we are. Hi.
Thank you first for a very, very interesting presentation, both to you and Alex. Specifically looking at your presentation, there are so many, moving pieces when we talk about, and as you said, we don't even have a good definition of metaverse. So one principle in investment, I think, and I don't think impact investment is different, but one principle is know in what we invest. So if metaverse is a big unknown still, how can we do impact investing and ESG sustainable investing in the same?
So this is quite a complex answer, but absolutely, this is a great point. I think the intersection that you look at is startups that are working in new technology. So this is, again, a specific industry, a specific niche. In fact, you have investors that are specialized only in this type of investment. And this doesn't mean that even if you do not have a definition, you don't know that a market is growing and a market is becoming huge. So when you invest in tech, that we are going to talk about impact, but when you invest in tech, most of the time you really don't know what this startup will end up at the end. You don't know about the industry. For example, people that invest in Amazon at the beginning, in Facebook at the beginning, or in Google at the beginning. Of course, they couldn't know that some years later, they first of all became millionaires, and secondly, these huge company today are a giant. So when you invest in tech, there are always an unknown point that you need to consider. And that is also related of the kind of investors you are, how much you want to risk and how much you don't want. Typically, when investors invest in startups, especially tech startups, they already know that 80% of them, they are going to crash. They know. It's a fact. It's nothing to, it is true. But the impact that they are making when they succeed, it's great, it's huge. So why to keep investing if you know that a lot of them they are going to crash? First of all, because some of them they succeed, but also the ones they do not succeed, they put together a piece, most of the time, a piece of the technology that other startups are going to take on and build up for the development of this new technology. So again, when
so
you are
the intellectual
investors,
property remains irrespective if that venture is successful in financial terms. The intellectual property will remain.
It really depends. For example, in blockchain, it's quite common that the coder and developer just share on internet all their discovery, and even if they don't succeed, everybody can know what they have done, and they can use their technology to build up something new, which is something amazing. It's a game changer if you look at the past. On the other side, if you are an investor in tech startups, again, you usually invest in a wide range of startups, not just in one, because again, you know
Sure.
that most of them don't succeed. So on the impact side, and then I stop talking and I leave Alex to,
That's a fantastic topic.
But,
because, yeah, Manuel, you remember that you attended the previous my webinar about the ESG, like for the venture capital, right?
Right, sure.
Right. So actually, by doing I research about what the situation of that's I mentioned about that what's the difference between the sustainable finance, in particular ESG investing and impact investing. It's a somewhat different area because there is some overlap, because, for example, they're looking at the impact for the care about the people, society, planet, but the way actually the raising the fund also different, because for example, the ESG investing for the venture capitals, usually that that they are private equity, so they fund from the some limited partners like endowment, like a pension fund or whatever, but there is no any kind of the original investors actually insisted you need to do ESG investing, right? So they much care about the financial returns here. So I heard that a lot of people are trying to say that, okay, so they're trying to have a good society, planet, and people, so they want their money to use for the good thing, but reality was not. But I think the impact investing is much better situation than that, because the that kind of limited partner will have a at least a background in the philanthropy or something like that. They care about the society people, right? So that's why I have a different view about impact investing, and then also why we also care about the metaverse in the impact investing range, because it will be a significant effect in our society in the still early stage, but in the later, it will be somewhat different impact, great impact than the two current web 2 internet or something like that, because we will be my much deeper level involved in the metaverse space. So it will be a huge impact in the society, people, and planet. So that's why that we need to consider about this one, and also carefully invest in that kind of driving in a good direction. There's at least I talk about the good, bad is not technology, right? It's about how we use it, or it's how we invest, right? So that's the key.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just if I may, a few words about ESG and impact investing, because it's a huge topic. But to just simplify, basically, when you think about ESG, it's like you have a scoreboard. You have a scoreboard and you have a set of criteria, which is pretty clear. And this helps, especially institution, more traditional funds, and all these kind of individuals, because they know that this business starts at zero, and they, for example, help the life of workers, they help diversity, they do some things in their company that match the criteria, and so they can measure how much better they're doing inside of a specific set of criteria and the scoreboard. Much easier on one side, I think not enough for me, but it's again, it's a belief, it's a value that every investor need to understand and choose by themselves. For me, but investing again is when you have the impact in the business model. And that's the main difference for me. And then you have another set of evaluation, much more difficult to understand the measurement of sure, but much more impactful for my taste.
No, and I think as Alex and you said, there are different classes of investors. The institutional investors may not be actually allowed to take the risk. You mentioned the Pareto risk, right? The 2080. Also, they have much larger funds, and also companies producing ESG reports are now on the top of S&P 500 and so on, because even the reporting process is costly, not to talk about the implementation of the CSR, of the social responsibility. So absolutely, I think it's a multi-game player, right? You play in one corner or another. Thank you very much. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
Has some comment about the ESG reducing negative impact equal creating positive impact. Yeah, that's that's one actually that's exactly topic yesterday I talked about, because for the Manuel mentioned about what the asset owners, for example, the pension fund and the endowment and the institution owners, and actually they still care about a trade-off, a financial trade-off. So financial trade-off means that even the name is ESG fund, ESG investing, they still care about the financial return over a sustainability return. And then there was a statistics that still around 70% of the ESG named fund think about this ESG investing is a trade-off. So they think about something that think about whether they weigh more on the financial return or not. But that situation, yeah, that situation can be. We tried actually. The Manuel and me have some professional like expertise group that we are thinking about balancing rather than using trade-off. So balancing means exactly what you talk about. The balancing, reducing negative impact equal to creating positive impact. This is exactly the term I'm calling about the balancing. So rather than just trade off the balancing between two values and then try to get the expand of your value, not only your social, planet, and then people value, also your financial return. It's a long story, but that's actually I'm really interested in this field. And then Elisa also have expertise in it, and then she share a lot of her we can keep going on, but unfortunately, we cannot go. So, but fortunately, I'm thinking about another event for this kind of thing. So I'm designing, but the title will be the investing in metaverse innovation. So I'm bringing all the investors, type of the private equity, venture capital, hedge fund, but particularly I'm interested in impact investors. And then I'm going to like invite Elisa again as keynote, and then he will share like much deeper level, because that topic will be the investing. So how actually can change this investing community to think about more sustainability value. So that's what I'm planning. Having said that, actually, thank you everyone. I will stop my recording first.